Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to the first in our series that I'm calling How to Have Your Stash and Use It Too. I know it doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense, but I'm gonna teach you how to use your stash rather than buy all these things and hold on to them and never actually use them. I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks. So let's start with today's video. Today's video is prep, how to pre-make for when you need it. So let me tell you what I mean by that. So lots of times we don't use homemade packaging or homemade cards or homemade tags because we haven't made them in advance, meaning by the time we need a gift, it's too late for us to prep. So today we're going to do some prepping. These are two 12 by 12 packs that I have in my stash that I purchased because I love them and I used one or two pieces from them but haven't used all of them. So now we're going to use some of this paper up and I'm going to be prepared when I need a gift in the future. So let's start with this one. This one is called Salon. It's one I've had for a really long time, and what I'm going to do is run through and look for pages like this that both sides work. I'm not going to use my cut aparts, although you could, that wouldn't be a problem. But see how both of these sides can be cut and they're not cut aparts? I'm going to do that first. And I'm going to put the stickers aside too. I may use those at some point, but probably not in this particular video. Okay, so I want to try to explain my point as I go. So I cannot tell you how many times I need a little gift bag for a gift that just pops up, like a friend needs something for a birthday or a shower or anything. This is what I'm going to be prepared for. So one of the first things I'm going to show you how to make is a lay flat bag. This guy is awesome, okay? I'm going to start with a piece of 12 by 12 and I'm going to trim down, cutting off the designer strip. Now I always caution you, don't just cut the strip away. When you're using 12 by 12 measurements, cut to 12 by 12 because sometimes your paper companies can be a little generous, just like here, and you see that extra strip? That little bit can sometimes get us off if we're using somebody's measurements, right? All right, for this bag, what I need to do is cut this 12 by 12 down to 8.5. Now, do not worry. We are going to have these measurements for you in a blog post, everything I'm doing today. Plus, if I've ever made a video of it before, we're going to do that for you as well, so you'll have that linked in the description. All right, so I'm going to start with this guy, okay? So we've cut him down to the right size. Let's do our scoring. So I'm going to take this little piece. This is so cute. I'm going to put it into my scoreboard, and we're going to score it in a couple places. Now, I'm going to make this bag, and I want to show you something. This orientation can get in your way sometimes, okay? You see how these bags are facing up, but down here, if I fold this way, they're facing upside down. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make that the back of the bag, and I'm not gonna stress about it. If that bothers you, then you're gonna wanna use a paper that has a pattern that works up and down for this, but it does not bother me, so I'm gonna keep going, okay? All right, so let's do our scores. Let's put this in on the 12-inch side. The first place we're gonna score is 1/2 inch. So we'll make a little 1/2 inch score up here. Then we're gonna score at 5, and at 7, and at 11.5. And then we're gonna turn this, and we're gonna score it at 2 and at 6. Now this bag has been around a long time. This is one of those that somebody came up with that was brilliant, and it's one we can keep in our stash ready to go whenever we need it. So that's exactly what we're looking for today. Now to make this bag, couple things. Your 1/2 inch scores at the top, you want to fold those the opposite way of what you want to be the outside of your bag. So if you want this to be the outside of your bag, we're going to fold and crease these this way because that'll be on the front of the bag and be kind of decorative. So we're going to glue these flaps down. One thing I like to do when I get them down is to take my bone folder and just kind of crease them into place, and you get the prettiest, sharpest fold there. So do that on both ends. Now, one thing we're going to do today, we're going to make several prep projects, meaning we are prepping projects for future occasions, okay? This particular project, we'll be doing a lot more to it than some of the other ones. Some of the other ones, you won't do this part until the day that you give the gift. But for this one, the way this one works out, you can go ahead and do a lot of the prep work ahead of time. All right, so we've got those glued down that way. Now we're going to turn this over, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to fold in our side score line and crease it down. And you'll really want to do that up there where it's doubled up. You'll really want to give it a good crease, okay? And then we're going to fold in this side. And now I want to make sure I crease these as well. Just get all your score lines good and creased. That way you can see what you're doing. So all the fold lines are scored and creased, and now we're going to fold our sides in again. Now here's what we're going to do, and just watch me. I'm going to do this 4 times, so at some point it will start to really catch on. You'll see exactly what I'm doing. So we need to make a diagonal fold here. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to let this score line be our guide. So there's a little score line right here, and we want to fold it to this edge. We want to bring it up over to this edge. And when we do, that diagonal will create itself in here. Okay, so watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to lift up that score line and bring it to this edge. And you see what I mean? That diagonal just created itself. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. Let's do that again on the opposite side. So the same thing, we're going to take that score, we're going to hold this down here, lift that score up to the edge, and all we're worried about is, are we getting this score line, I'll hold this like this, are we getting this score line lined up with the edge? And our diagonal is going to create itself. You see that? All right, let's do it again. So holding the bottom, lifting our score line, taking it to the edge of the bag, there's our diagonal, and one more time. When you're doing this in person and you get it done the first time, it will make perfect sense as you keep going. All right, so now what we want to do, I'm going to turn this so the orientation is right. Now what we want to do is we want to glue down this top section. We want to leave this guy loose, okay? So from our diagonal down, we're leaving that loose. Here's where our glue's going to go. You could do this with sticky tape if you wanted, but I'm just going to use glue so you can see how I'm angling that glue there. It's a little hard to see, but watch where my tip goes. So I'm on the inside of the diagonal. You see that? And then I'm going to go down, all the way down just like this. And then this guy is going to fold in. So all we're gluing down is from our diagonal line here down, okay? And from our diagonal line here down. We're leaving this center section loose. I'll show you what I mean. When I push this up, do you see how my diagonals are not glued down? I want all of that under there open. Let's do it on the other side as well. So now what we have is this fold flat piece that when we need it to be a bag, we push it up into place. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this like this so you can see. And now we have this little bag or box. Now when I'm ready to give this to someone, I would glue here. I'll do it now so you can see it. I would put glue inside this diagonal and stand this up and glue it together. But I wouldn't do it until I need it. So I would prep these guys and keep them in my stash. They are a great way to use up those 1 and 2 pieces of paper that you usually have left over in your 12 by 12 packs. Here I have a lot in this pack, but let's say you made an album and you ended up with like 1 piece left here and 1 piece left here. This is a great way to use up those pages. And when you or someone says, man, I gotta wrap this gift and I don't have anything to put it in, yes, you do. You open a drawer, a filing cabinet, a file folder, whatever it is that you want to keep your items in, you open that up and you have something to wrap a gift in. So this is how this ends up looking, okay? And even better, you can make your straps from that piece you cut off. You're still using that same 12 by 12. If you want this to be a purse, this doesn't have to be a purse. Let me show you something, or a basket. You can pull these guys together like this and let the sides come out a little bit and then put like a clip, a paper clip, or a little clothespin kind of thing, and that would be super cute, right? So you don't have to turn it into a handled bag, but if you want to, so easy. Here's what you do. You're gonna take these guys and you're gonna cut this down to 3/4 by 12. You're using that same cardstock we've already used. And then you'll take these guys and you might want to turn them out so you have a little coordinating, little other color handle, I guess a coordinating handle. And these will get glued right here. I'll do that real quick. Here's what I like to do. I like to take my bone folder and kind of loosen it and get that kind of in that curve. And then I'm gonna add glue to the front. You could put this on the inside, but you don't necessarily have to because it matches the way we're doing it. The paper matches, so I'm just gonna glue that to the front there. Add a little glue to this side and bring that strap over. Now let me show you. You wanna bring that strap over to the front like this. Don't twist it. because you want the same color showing. And you'll just glue that into place. I kind of tilt them forward a little bit, and we're going to do that on the back as well. So there's our little bag like this, and you can go back into that same paper, all those cut aparts, and you can put a cut apart on the front. You can make a little tag to hang off, whatever you want. It'd be a great way to use scraps to decorate this. Now let me make a few and show you how I would store them. Okay, so we have one put together so you can see what we've got, but when you have them made for your stash, they store like this. And what I did was I just paper clipped the handles to them. And so now I have, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ready to go gift bags. And what's left from this pack is the little strips that were left, the little scrap strips, which I'm going to put these into my stash. We're going to get to those later. We're still working our series, so you'll see those come up later. But look at this. All I have is my stickers and my cut aparts. And for me, these are very useful because these can become cards or tags or anything. So I don't feel like I have all this paper just being wasted in my stash. So that's a good stash buster. And now I have gift bags at hand on the spur of the moment. All right, let me show you the same thing, but we're going to do a little masculine twist. Breaking in here to ask you to hit that red subscribe button. It's free. Also hit the bell button beside it. You can help me reach my big goal this year of 400,000 subscribers. Okay, back to crafting. So now let's look at more of a masculine situation. So this is a paper pack I've had sitting on my stash since last year. And rather than it sit there, let's put it into use. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out all the pages that I can use just like I did. And there are, I think, were there 12 altogether? I think there were 12 full sheets. Shannon's helping me do this for the video. So I think there were 12 full sheets. And we're going to use this, but we're going to make 2 different size boxes that will lay flat for when we need them. So let's get started. So I've left the cut aparts and the stickers with the pack, just like we did on the other one. So we'll use those for something else. And let's take out one piece of 12 by 12. Okay, so first things first, just like we did earlier, we're going to cut this down to 12 inches. And just like we said, I want you to line it up on 12 inches on your trimmer and cut that little designer strip off. We don't need that. And for this first box, we're going to use the whole 12 by 12. So grab your scoreboard, and we're going to put this guy in. Now, I'm going to let this be the front, so I'm going to score it on the back side here, and here are your marks. Your first score mark is at 1.5, then 5 1/4, 6 3/4, and 10 1/2. And remember, don't worry about measurements. We're going to have blog posts for you guys, okay? All right, and then we're going to turn it, and we're going to score at 1.5, and 10 1/2. This is a great box to have on hand that we're fixing to make. It is flat for storage, and it goes together in seconds, in actual seconds. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold and crease so I can see my lines, and that will save me time when I need the box. Okay, in classic Maymay style, I got my orientation off. I do that all the time. If it matters to you, you want to pay very close attention to that. For me, I'm just going to let this be the top of my box instead of the other. That can be the inside. Okay, so now what you've got when you do your scores, and I've snipped them here so you can see, you have these little small edges on both sides. That's what we're going to snip, okay? So just the short score marks that go down the side. It's probably hard for you to see with this busy paper, but when you're doing this at home, you'll be able to see it much easier. So we're going to snip into those up to where they meet the score line that goes all the way down the page. So it's the 1.5 inch marks, and we're snipping up. Now, I would do all of this part ahead of time so that when I needed this box, all I have to do is glue it and assemble it. So if you can't see your score mark very good, fold that where you can. Just make a fold so you can see it. There we go. And as always, when we make a box, we're going to put some angle cuts on our tabs. So I'm going to come right here to the side, and I'm going to angle cut this as well. And I'll show you what that means. Can you see how I've got that angle cut out? And I'm going to do that on the middle tab on both sides of it. And then the same on this end tab. And I'll lay this down so you can see it, so it'll make sense for you. All right, so let's lay that down. So you see all of this? So we've got tab, side of box, tab, side of box tab. We want to do that very same thing here, and I've already done the slicing up. All I need to do is make the tabs. Now, if you want to do this, this is optional. I mean, it's kind of optional. I would do it. I would take one of your circle punches. I've got paper literally glued to this punch, and I would make a thumb hole. So down here, I'm going to turn these tabs down so you can see what you're working with. Down here on this end, I'm going to make a little half hole here, half punch, so you'll have a place to put your thumb to open this box, and you just want to eyeball center that. I'm not going to stress too much about it, but something about like that. And let's assemble this so you can see how that goes, okay? Okay, so we're going to take our tabs now, and we're going to make the box, and here's what you do. You're going to glue the little tabs to the inside of the longer flap you have, because that's the side of your box. Do you see that? So I've just glued that to the inside there, okay? And then I'm going to take this middle tab and glue it into there as well. What happens is this top section becomes your lid. This is why we love this box. We won't have to even make a lid. It will be ready for us when we need a box. So I'm going to glue that in, and then I'm going to show you what it's looking like. So you see how we've got this kind of started. Now this piece gets folded backwards, and I like to go ahead and do it because it can sometimes fight me. Just going to go ahead and fold that one backwards, and we're going to finish assembling down here at the bottom. So small tabs in and glued to the side, and it will automatically just kind of come together for you. The only thing you have to be sure that you do when you're assembling is make sure you have your thumb mark on the lid. That's the big thing you want to remember. And did I just panic and look? Yes, I did. That's what I do all the time. I'm always forgetting to look ahead. All right, so you see how the bottom of our boxes come together? This is a perfect box for homemade candies. It's the perfect box for a tie, a pair of socks, probably even a tie and a pair of socks would fit in here. All right, now for the top portion, we have this one tab, and it's gonna get glued here. That's all we're gonna do. So let's add some glue. And I'm going to give you the measurements for two sizes of this box, okay? We've done it with 12 by 12. We're also going to show you using 8.5 by 11. So if you don't have a lot of 12 by 12, but you have some 8.5 by 11 in your stash, you can use it. And just because I'm making this with a masculine theme does not mean that's the only way you can use this box. This box would be great for anything. I can see it like if you were doing like wedding, maybe you're making like candy or cookies for a wedding and you wanted to give them out to the bridal party or maybe to your guest or whatever. Wouldn't this be pretty? This big box full of treats. And see how that thumb hole, it just helps you to hold it and get the box open. So this is what it looks like assembled, and you can decorate it so many ways. Imagine a belly band. If you're making it for like cookies or something, you could tie a ribbon around it, add a plaque here of any kind. There's so much you can do, but having these stored flat and ready to go, that's super cool. Let's do the 8.5 by 11 real quick. For the 8.5 by 11, same idea, okay? We're gonna put this into our scoreboard, but here are your marks. We're gonna score it at 1, at 5, at 6, and at 10. Now this box is only going to be an inch high, where our other box was 1.5 inches high. So that, keep that in mind too. Then we're going to score it here at 1 and here at 7.5. Yep, just like so. All right, let's fold and crease. Now you guessed it, we're going to do the same marks along the side. So we're going to snip up into those tabs. And remember, these cuts are on the side of the box. This is, we assemble this box completely from its side. That'll help you too when, I don't want you to get off, you know, when you're doing your cuts. That'll help you to remember where to make these snips. So I'm gonna go ahead and assemble this one so you guys can see the difference in the sizes of the two boxes. So if you're watching this series and these first two projects don't really speak to you, I want to encourage you to stick around for the rest of the series. I'm sure something that I'm going to show will help you clean up your stash. These may not be things you need, but this month I have so many things planned to show you, and I hope you'll grab on and be able to go, oh, finally a way to use all this paper I've been hoarding up. Okay, so you can see the difference between the two, and isn't this handy to have pre-made? This is gonna be great. If you're somebody who likes to prep for Christmas, you should start grabbing into your old Christmas papers and make some of these. This is great for your Christmas crafting. One thing I would suggest, if you're gonna give a food that's maybe oily, like a fudge or a cookie, you might want to put a little parchment in here just to keep the oil off of the paper, because it is paper and you don't want it to be kind of stained whenever you give it, although that would add to the patina of this one because it already looks like it. But there's 2 boxes that you can store flat. Let's look at how they store flat. So check it out. I have 8 boxes pre-prepped, and I used 1 paper pack. And I do have some scraps left over, but like I said, if you follow the series, I'm going to be showing you how to use those scraps as well. So I'm pretty excited to have this many boxes ready to go. And I'm telling you, in our world, in our staff, you just never know who's like, hey, I need a box for this or a bag for this. And imagine if you're prepping these and your kids come home and they forgot to tell you they're in charge of some treat or something that has to go to school. You're ready. All right, let's do another one. Okay, so let's say you're a person that likes to give a gift card more than you need a box or a bag like we just showed you. So how about a quick, easy way to use your scraps and have these guys on hand when you need it? And you're probably thinking, but that bow, don't worry, I'm going to show you. Okay, so let's make some of these for our pre-made stash. Okay, so for this one, you're going to need 1 piece that is 7.5 by 4, a piece that is 3 by 4.5, one that is 4.5 by 2, and then 2 pieces that are 1 inch by 12. We're going to cut this down and make this work for us, but this is a great stash buster. I wanted to show it to you like this because I want you to see just how small the pieces need to be. All they have to do is coordinate. Now, for these guys, you can see that we use the same paper pack. It all came in the same paper pack, but you could totally dig into your stash and get pages this size. All right, let's assemble. So we need to do a little bit of scoring. On this guy, I'm going to put him into my scoreboard on the 7.5 inch side and score him at 3 1/4. Just like that. We'll put him aside. Then for your 4.5 by 2 piece, I want you to put it into your scoreboard and score it at 1 inch all the way down. Then this little guy is the slider mechanism. And what I want you to do with this one is you're going to make 2 scores, but we're only going to fold one of them. One is just for reference. So at the top, I want you to make a really light reference score at 1/2 inch. But the one at 4 inches down here, I want you to really score. This is one we're actually going to bend. And that is all the scoring we need to do. Now listen, this guy goes together so easy. You're going to have fun making these for your stash, but then they're going to be so easy to use. You're going to love this. All right, so let's decide. I think this is going to be my lid this color. I think I'm going to have my box this color, my slider look like this. So since that's the case, we're going to fold this in half. Just line this up and then crease this down. Use my bone folder and get that nice and snug. Now remember, with the orientation situation, this is the back. This is the front. No one's going to care about that. And if you decide to put like a piece back there for you to write on, like a sentiment or stamp, you can cover most of that up. All right. So we're just going to put glue on 2 sides and close this like a pocket. So we put glue on the right side and the left side, and this base is going to be closed up for us because it's a fold, and now our opening is at the top. So we'll let that sit like that. Now for this guy, we're going to fold up that 1 piece I told you was our actual fold, and all we're going to do is fold him and crease him. That's it. And we're going to do the same here. Let's fold and crease him. So I want this to go on the inside because that's not the part I want to show. I want the other part to show. And then crease this down. And now we're going to eyeball center this guy in here and sandwich him down. That score mark we made at the top is just for us to see where to put the glue. So I don't want my glue to go any further than 1/2 inch down. That's why I have that. And then I'm just going to eyeball center him. You can use your cutting mat to try to help you get it just centered. I'm not stressing too awful much about that because you have a little bit of wiggle room in your inside your gift box anyway. Let's just try to get it to that 1/2 inch mark, which I clearly missed. I did not see it when I had it sideways. There we go. And now we're going to sandwich this closed. This is our box lid. This is a really great stash buster. This doesn't feel like you did it quick. It feels like you spent some time on it, you know? So now this guy is going to slide into the little slot we made right here. And notice how the top hangs over. Let's talk ribbons and bow, ribbons and bow. So I'll show you this. I made a mistake. I've got coordinating ribbon that matches the top, and I don't want that. I want my bow to pop, so I'm going to change these out. That's not a big deal though. You can use those for a different one of these guys. So these are the color I'm going to use, and they're an inch by 12. So the first thing I want to do is I want to place this guy right here in the center of this front pocket and get him kind of lined up as centered as I can. And then I'm going to fold it back. And that is going to tell me how much I need for that ribbon. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it off at the top. And hold on to that because we might need it in a second. So now I'm going to take this guy and glue him on. So this is our package ribbon. So again, we're going to eyeball center this guy. You can measure if you need to. You've got a little wiggle room once you put him down with your wet glue. So there's our ribbon around our package. Okay, now let's talk bow. I'll move this out of the way so it'll all make sense. Now for my bow, I know I want a piece that's 10 inches. So I'm going to cut this piece down to 10 inches really quick. Look, I'm not measuring. I'm just going to do that, okay? This guy, to make this bow, what I love about it is you have to start with folding it in half. So I'm going to fold this in half just like this. So if I were not making this on the day I needed it, I would fold this 10-inch by 1-inch piece in half, put this piece in because I'm going to need it to wrap around my bow, and I would stick this in here and slide it in here. That way, when I'm ready to make this, I have all the pieces I need. There's one more piece I want to get ready. Digging into my stash again, I'm going to go ahead and make a bunch of these little slide up sentiments. And this yellow paper will work with the paper pack I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and make several of these, like so. And I'm going to stamp. Now, I'm going to use a stamp set from my stash that's called Action. And this stamp set is one of the most popular we have. Let me show you. It has every word you can possibly need to do one of these kind of action cards. And what we're going to do is do slide up instead of pull. You could do pull if you wanted to, but I just think slide up. You could even do slide out because I think out is on here too. Yep, you could do slide out, whatever you want to do. But I've got my words on to this block, and I'm going to start with slide. And I don't load them on the same block because I think I can get them closer together if I don't. And see all this work we're doing ahead of time? So on the day of, we do not have to pull all of our little pieces out to make one thing. We don't have to pull out stamps and blocks and ink and all that to make one card slider. Now, of course you could, but the point of this is to use our stash and to be prepared. Do you guys know whenever you look at a word so many times it turns into not that word anymore? Just then I was like, is this not the word I want? It looked like slice and not slide. Don't slice it up. All right, and then up. And go ahead and do these little guys for all that you're going to pre-make. And now I would just make sure I slid this little guy in here, maybe let him stick out so I can see him. But all I need for the day of the gift giving is here. So let's say it's the day I want to give it and I need to make my bow because I want to store these flat. I want to put them into a file folder or into a crate or into a shoebox so I can grab these out flat. So this is how I would store it. And then on the day of, we'll make our bow. Now I'm going to tell you something. This is the easiest bow you'll ever make. You ready for this? You're going to take that piece you folded in half and open it up. Now I'm going to bring it back on itself like this so I can see my score really good. Grab your bone folder and do a ribbon curl. Do not cut yourself on this. This is paper and you can get a paper cut, okay? So do a ribbon curl so that you get something like this. Then take some glue, put it on either side of that center fold, like so. Bring this piece into the glue. Don't crease it, just bring it into the glue so that you get a loop on either side. So you see what I'm doing here? I'll bring this where you can see it. See, I'm just doing this. I don't want to crease it. I want to keep my loop there. I'm going to fold or keep this nice and straight. So I've got my little figure 8 basically. Then that piece we saved that we might need, and it doesn't have to be this big, whatever size you had left over, put that in here. I'm going to lay it over so that it'll wrap across. Okay. Glue it to the front. Flip this guy over, glue him down like so. And you guessed it, we're going to fold up this other side and glue it down as well. But I don't need this much, so we'll trim some of that off. All this is going to be behind. No one's going to see this. Then we're going to add some glue here. Close this guy down. Now, if you want to, You can also pre-prep these little tails to put into the box. Again, they can lay flat. They can just be slid inside of there for the day you need it. I didn't do tails for this one. I just did this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this in, and you'd put your gift card in too. So go ahead and get your gift card into the little slider. Place this guy in. I know that's snug, but we want it snug because we don't want it to fall out. And then we're going to glue our bow down. So put some glue on the back of our bow, and then place it right over that piece in the middle. Now you could pop this up with a piece of foam. That would be fine too. But look how cute this is. This one is without tails. This one is with tails, so you can see the difference. And on camera it looks a little flat, but in real life it's got some dimension to it, and you can tell it's a bow. And then you'll just take this little guy and glue him down where it says slide up, and the recipient will know to slide that bow out, and it adds a little something to the center there. I love the tails, and again, all you gotta do is cut your little strips and put them inside, and so the day you need it, you have it ready. So we're gonna prep some of these so you can see what a stack of them look like for storage. So from this to this on the day that you need it. Isn't that cool? These, by the way, are all scraps that were from one of my classes from the birthday bash. None of them, I don't think any of these were full size 12. Oh no, this piece was a full size 12 by 12, and we were able to get 3 out of that one because this is that same paper just done in the opposite. So we got 3 sheets, 3 card sliders from one 12 by 12, and these were just pieces and scraps and parts we had left in that pack. Isn't that cool? So now I don't have to store that pack of leftovers in my room. Instead, I can store these ready-made gift card sliders for when I need them. And I promise, ready-made gift card sliders will be one you look for all the time. All right, let's do some more. So another idea I have for you in using up your stash and being prepared whenever you have a gift to give is this. Go to some of your favorite SVG sites. Dreaming Tree is one of my favorites. You can see here that I've gone to the little milk treat box. I'm going to download this free cut file, and I'm going to use some of my paper in my stash to cut this and have it ready for when I need something to put a treat in. And check this out. There's a video here on their website to show you how to assemble it. So even if you pre-cut these and then you get ready to put them together for the gift and you can't remember how to put them together, you can always come back and watch the video. So this would be a great thing to keep. Let's cut one. So here I have the little milk carton open in Cricut. And what's really cool is I can save this as whatever title I want, and in one size. And let's say I do want to come back and cut it for a gift and not dig into my stash to my pre-cut ones, I can always change the size of this one. Now this milk carton from Dreaming Tree, I actually resized to fit on a single sheet of 12 by 12. So that's what we're going to do, because I want to cut several to put into my stash for when I need them last minute. And I think this will work great. So let's click Make It. And I did this one so that it will fit on, like I said, a 12 by 12. So the largest I can cut, the width is 11.5 wide. And then I just let it be whatever tall it's going to be. And so we're going to cut several of these to put into our stash. Okay, so these are the milk jugs pre-cut for you, right, and ready to go. And just to save time on this video, I'm not going to assemble these because there is a full video I showed you on Dreaming Tree. So if you want to see how to assemble these, I'd go over there. I did do a little editing in Cricut where I took out the extra score marks that they had in here. But that way I just have these little milk jugs for whenever I want to put something cute into one of these. And it doesn't have to be a milk jug. Think about it. You could do little top hats that you could fold up on the day you wanted it. You can do that curvy box that has the nice little lid at the top. You've seen that around. The idea is just dig into your stash where you have leftover bits of paper, turn them into something and have them waiting for you when you need them. These, by the way, don't use a whole 12 by 12. Let me measure what this uses. This actually uses a 12 by 8. So it still could be done with a scrap. It can't be 8.5 by 11 unless you shrink it down, but you could still do this with some scraps. So I love having extras on hand. These will just go right into my my pre-prepped packaging drawer, say that 3 times fast, and I'll have little milk cartons ready for when I need them. And they're flat, so I don't have to store a bunch of little ready-made milk cartons. All right, one more. Okay, so these 2 pieces of paper came from 2 completely different paper packs, 12 by 12s, and they're leftover, let me show you, cut-aparts. And I'm gonna use these to show you a way to use cut-aparts without it really looking like you're using cut-aparts. I think you'll like this. But how many times we have cut-aparts left we're never gonna use? Here's a good way. Let's do the little snowman because I feel like the checkers will make you a little dizzy there on the screen. So we're gonna take our trimmer. And I know this is 12 by 12, But I would much rather cut this down to the dimensions I'm going to use than have this just sit on the shelf and not get used at all. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut this down to 11. I'm using a self-closing box that I used years ago to make a bunny. I just think this will be perfect for this. And then I'm going to cut it down to 8.5. Now it's going to leave me a little bit of scrap, but I'm not too concerned. I probably can find a place to use this on a card or something, but I'm not left with a whole 12 by 12 sheet. All right, our 8.5 by 11 is going to get cut in half at 5.5. Now I also want to tell you this. Let me do this before I cut it. If you have 8.5 by 11 scraps, that's where you will start with this project. I just wanted to use some cut aparts that were just on my shelf taking up space. So 8.5 by 11, cut it in half at 5.5, and you can get 2 of these from one piece. Also, I want to tell you, look how small this is. How many times do you have scraps like this in your scrap bin? This is easy peasy, great way to get this done. All right, so let's do some scoring. Okay, now I'm going to score this and create this for you today, but we're going to link the video where I did this the first time because I went to very great detail in that one to show you how this works. But to save time in this video, I'm just going to make it and show you how it works, and you can reference that one. Okay, so we're going to put our piece in on the, I'm looking at my rules, on the 8.5 side, and we're going to score at 4 and at 8. Okay, then I'm going to turn this, and on the 5.5 side, we're going to score it at 5. And I want to show you what I did here. I typically do this. When I have to do a 1/2 inch, I'll score it out here because it's easier than scoring it in here. So on my notes, I told myself to turn it around and then score down here at 4.5. So you can do that either way. If you just want to score it at 1/2 inch and you can hold on really good, you can do it there. So it's 1/2 inch and 4.5. But like I said, for me, it's easier to score that 1/2 inch out here. All right, so there is that. Now we need to do one more thing. On this section here, this is the closure for this box. We're going to close the bottom up. Here's what we need to do. We need to put this into our scoreboard, okay? And because now we have this 1 inch mark that's stopping us, we know where to stop, we need to run back and do a score from 2 to our 1 inch mark, and then down here at 6 to our 1 inch mark, okay? So we couldn't do that till we had our little 1 incher there, but now we can. So we've got those scores. Let me see if I can point them out to you. There we go. That's 2, that's 4, that's 6, and that's 8, but we needed those 2 to stop right there. Okay, now, little fancy footwork here. Okay, so I pulled out the mouse pad from my Misty to give me something soft to do this part on. We need to do some angled scoring, and here's what we're gonna do. Using those score marks that we have already created, we're gonna go from these 2 and the 6 inch score mark, and we're gonna do some diagonal scoring. So from the 2 inch score mark here to our 1/2 inch score mark at the top, we're going to score. This is gonna make these angle pieces. Again, you're gonna wanna watch my other video for better instructions. And that one, I even draw these out for you and everything. So check that one out. Again, from that 2 inch score and now to this 1/2 inch score, we're not going to the top, we're going to the 1/2 inch mark. So we're gonna score there. And then we're gonna turn it again. I even watched that video to show y'all how to do this, by the way. I watched it this morning because I was like, I haven't made one of these in a long time. So I referenced that video. There's that one. And then one more time, we're gonna do the same thing over here. We're just kind of diagonal, just kind of walking down our little box here. All right, so we've got our score marks done. And the reason you put that bone folder back there is so put your mouse pad back there is so you have something to press into. Okay, so I've got all my scoring done. Can you see that? It might be a little hard for you to see. Let me bring this up here. There we go. There's those score marks. Again, please watch my other video. I do it in very, very great detail for you if this is confusing you. Okay, so along this side where we have our 1/2 inch line scored, and then we have this little score and this little score, we need to get rid of this rectangle and this little square. So let me cut it, and then I'm gonna lay it down and show you so you'll see what's going away. So I'm gonna cut away this little rectangle, this little square, and that's what we're looking for on that side. Okay, this is gonna be the tab that closes it up. Now I don't want all that bulk on ends, so you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna angle cut it. You guys are getting used to angle cutting. Get rid of that bulk, okay? So now it will look like this. Now at the bottom, your wider 1-inch score at the bottom, remember we came back and did the 2 and the 6? Well, actually you have 2, 4, and 6, and we want to slice those up. So I'm just going to slice straight up in the ditch. So we're just slicing inside the score mark, right up to the 1-inch mark. Okay, and that's all the snips you need to make. See how we've separated those? Now let's fold our diagonal. So we're not really trying to fold very deep here. Like if any of the cardstock is still at the end, just kind of let that be. See right here where this is? Just kind of let that be and score where the diagonal is. I'm going to do that here as well. And I'm just going to stop right before that little top section just to get that diagonal going. And then the same here, we'll fold that one. This one's easy because it goes to the edge. Okay, so this is scored, trimmed, and you probably think this is where we're going to stop and store it, but it's not. We're going to do one more thing. We're going to fold this guy in half on our middle score mark that we made, that 4-inch score, and crease this down. Then we're going to fold in our tab and seal this guy shut. That's how we're going to store it. Okay, that's where we'll stop for putting it away, but I'm going to show you how to keep going to assemble it. But because we want to store it flat, this is how we'll do it. So we've got this little flap down. We're going to close this guy in half like a book, and it'll catch that little side. Just kind of line that up. So for storing, that's what we would do. Okay, it would store just like that. When we needed it, we would then take it out. You will squeeze the sides and see how the bottom becomes a square. So now we're just going to fold these ends down and make a box. Okay, so we'll start here. We'll add glue to one side, just like so. And we'll close that down on top of there. And one thing, I even showed this in the other video that I did, one thing that you can do is stand this up on your work surface, open it up at the top, and then press it down with your bone folder to get it to close good. Just to get that to catch. There we go. And then you guessed it, we're going to close the other side down. And this is an interesting one because the shape is so different. You'll love how this turns out. And this is one of those things that you're like, I wish I had one of those ready last minute, and now you will. All right, so stand this up, square up that bottom, press it down with your bone folder and get it to catch. Now, I always on this box tend to have a piece that hangs over the edge. I just do this. It's just because it's angly and it's a little hard to get it to go perfectly square. But now look, this is a self-closing box and you can decorate it the day you need it and all the hard work is done. And then you can put your little gift inside, but it locks into place. And this is a great one to store flat. So we're going to make a few and show you how they look stored flat. So this is how they store flat, and we were able to use up cut apart paper to do it. And why? Because look, you don't see what's on the inside until you open it. And even then, it's just kind of cute in there, like it's got a little message or what have you. But it's a great way to use up cut apart paper that just tends to sit on your shelf because it's not part of the design. Isn't that cool? Love this one. So let's look at what all we did today. So here we go. We made a stack of pre-made items for our stash. We have our milk cartons, which I did go ahead and fold up for you to see. Now I want to let you know the one you get from Dreaming Tree is a little bit bigger than this. I just took that same SVG and sized it down for what I was doing, but this is how it looks assembled. So now I have some of these lay flat in my stash. We also have these two boxes that are lay flat in our stash and ready to go. We have this self-closing container. We have our slider gift card holder that works like this. I think this one is the one that's got the gift card in it. Let's look. Yep. So like that. And one more. And our little lay flat gift bag. So instead of having all of this cardstock sitting on our shelves doing nothing, it is now ready to be used quick, fast, and in a hurry. My grandma used to say pretty darn quick. PDQ, she used to say. So we have everything at our fingertips and ready to go. Isn't that awesome? So this weekend, if you're like, I really want to use up some of this older paper I've got, sit down for the day, make a few of these and have them ready, and just see how quickly you go through all of those little pre-made packages. All right, if you're liking this series, I got a lot more ideas for you. If you want more of them, I need to see thumbs up on this video to let me know you're liking it. And also tell me so in the comment. Let me know in the comments which one of these projects you see yourself making and putting aside for later. And also let me know which one you see yourself making just for right now and giving away right away. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, bye now.